Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're taking an in-depth look at Rocket Lab. Now, this company has seen some really massive momentum over the last year. It's trading right near its 52-week high. But the big question, I think, on every investor's mind is pretty simple. Has the stock price run ahead of the fundamentals? I mean, is now really the time to buy into this great story? Or, maybe is it time to take some profits off the table? We're aiming to tailor this analysis just for you today. And hey, if you find this breakdown helpful, please do us a quick favor, subscribe, like this conversation, and maybe leave a comment with your own thoughts down below. We also really love hearing what companies you want us to look into next, so definitely let us know which ones we should cover in a future conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Our mission today is really to cut through some of the noise surrounding Rocket Lab. We're going to break down the recent catalysts, take a hard look at that financial tension between their growth and their cash flow situation, and ultimately define the real risk versus reward proposition based on all the data we have as of today, September 24th, 2025. We're aiming for that clarity you need to decide if this recent surge is, well, justified.
Okay, let's start right there with that performance. It's been pretty spectacular, hasn't it? The stock's up over 98% year to date, trading, as we said, very close to its 52-week high, $54.04. In this aerospace sector, which is super competitive, really capital intensive, you just don't see moves like this without some major underlying drivers. So what exactly fueled this rapid climb, especially between, say, July and September?
Well, the initial push, I'd say, really came from their operational performance and building credibility. The foundation was definitely set with their second quarter earnings. They didn't just meet expectations, they delivered revenue above what analysts were forecasting, and crucially, they raised their guidance for the full year. That shift, from just meeting to actually exceeding and raising, that's always a potent catalyst for a stock.
Right, performance first. But what else kept that momentum going? It wasn't just the earnings report, was it?
No, not at all. Beyond the earnings beat, you had those successful satellite launches in July. And these weren't just any launches, they were for high-profile commercial clients. That proves they can execute reliably, consistently. And credibility, as you know, is just everything in this business. So this growing credibility, combined with the raised guidance, that started attracting the bigger players. We saw pretty substantial trading volumes, lots of block transactions going through, which strongly suggest ongoing accumulation by major institutional investors. They're essentially putting their stamp of approval on the company's longer-term story.
Okay. So institutions are getting involved. Was this purely a Rocket Lab story, though, or did the broader market kind of lift it up as well?
Oh, it definitely got a lift from broader sector tailwinds, too. Space and defense stocks, they've generally been performing quite strongly. Government investment is still pretty robust in those areas. And crucially, there were these early signals, whispers really, about potential inclusion or maybe increased weighting in some sector-specific ETFs.
The ETF effect.
Exactly. And that forces passive money managers to buy the stock almost regardless of the price at that moment. It creates this upward technical pressure. So yeah, all these forces kind of combine to create, well, almost a perfect storm, pushing the stock upwards.
Okay, so stock running up nearly 100%. That implies the market really believes the financial trajectory is, not just good, but accelerating fast. The bulls out there are clearly laser focused on this immense growth story. Let's look at the actual numbers backing up that optimism. What does the growth picture really look like?
Yeah, the growth is, it's undeniable, and it really is the primary thesis here. Rocket Lab is demonstrating really rapid revenue expansion. If you look back at last year, 2024, revenue hit $436.21 million. Now, that number itself was a massive 78.34% jump compared to 2023. That's significant growth.
Wow, yeah.
And if we look at the trailing 12 months, the TTM revenue, the figure's already climbed higher, up to $504.26 million. And so the momentum is continuing. And this trajectory, while it looks set to continue, the Zacks consensus estimate, which aggregates analyst forecasts, projects that 2025 sales are going to rise another 32.1% year over year. And the core driver here isn't just, launching more rockets. It's the sheer scale of the contracts they're winning now.
Exactly. I wanted to ask about that because the value of these sort of blue chip contracts seems to be what really separates them from maybe some smaller peers. Tell us a bit more about those backlogs.
Right. They are landing some truly transformative government deals. The selection by Kratos Defense, for instance, for Department of Defense hypersonic test program, that's potentially valued at $1.45 billion. That's massive.
Huge number.
But even bigger, potentially, is their inclusion in the U.S. Space Force's NSSL Phase 3 Lane 1 program. Now, that contract vehicle could be worth up to $5.6 billion over its lifetime.
5.6 billion.
Billion, yes.
Yeah.
That kind of multi-billion-dollar backlog, it provides a very clear long-term revenue runway that investors can, latch onto.
Okay, that is definitely the compelling bullish argument. Explosive growth, proven execution now, and this guaranteed future revenue stream locked in. But this is where the conversation has to turn, right? That kind of growth, especially building rockets and space systems, demands massive spending. We have to address the profitability challenge.
Yes, and this is really the core tension that defines the investment risk here. Despite that impressive contract backlog and the surging revenue, Rocket Lab is currently significantly cash flow negative. If you look at the company's bottom line, the net income over the last 12 months, that TTM figure, again, it shows a pretty staggering loss of minus $231.31 million.
Oof. Over $230 million loss.
Yeah. So to put that in context, while they are making phenomenal strides on the top line on sales, they are absolutely not expected to become profitable in the immediate future. That heavy, consistent cash burn means they remain highly dependent either on external capital markets, raising more money, or absolutely flawless execution to fund their growth ambitions. And that introduces significant financial risk for you, the shareholder.
Okay, so we've established this kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
Immense growth potential, pulling one way, intense cash burn pulling the other. Knowing those forces are battling it out, what are the next, say, 3 months looking like? What are the key battlegrounds investors really need to watch? Are there known market-moving events coming up soon?
Yes, definitely. The most immediate known focus point is the Q3 earnings report. That's scheduled for October 15th, 2025. And this report isn't just going to be about hitting revenue numbers. Investors will be scrutinizing it very closely for confirmation on the execution timeline of those massive multi-billion-dollar contracts we just talked about.
Right. Are they actually starting to deliver on those big ones?
Exactly. Any hint of delay in converting that huge backlog into actual realized revenue could dramatically depress the stock price, given how high expectations are. Then the second key date to circle on your calendar is December 5th, 2025. That's when the next institutional holdings report comes out.
Ah, to see if the big money is still buying.
Precisely. Since we saw that evidence of high institutional accumulation back in, segment 1, this report will clarify the exact scale of new major investor participation. It'll help confirm whether the big money truly believes in the long-term fundamentals, or if maybe some of them were just riding that momentum wave we discussed earlier.
Okay, so those are the knowns. Earnings and institutional flows. But, looking at the stock price action, it feels like investors are trading on more than just the reported numbers. They seem to be trading on whispers, on potential. Let's dig into the biggest what-if scenarios that seem to be floating around the industry right now. What are the major unconfirmed catalysts that might be driving sentiment?
Well, there's definitely persistent speculation, you hear the chatter, about Rocket Lab potentially winning another multi-year large-scale government contract, maybe from NASA, maybe another big one from the Department of Defense. Given their recent track record, landing another truly transformative contract like that could instantly redefine their future earnings potential and, frankly, make the current valuation look potentially cheap in hindsight.
So more big contract wins are one possibility. What else?
Then there's the whole M&A angle, merger and acquisition talk. Industry chatter, suggested the possibility of maybe a high-impact partnership or even potentially an outright acquisition bid from a much larger aerospace or defense player. You could imagine a massive prime contractor wanting to buy immediate, proven, small to medium launch capability and integrated space systems. That kind of move would likely trigger a huge immediate premium for shareholders.
Right. A buyout is always a potential catalyst for stocks like this. And what about the technology itself? That feels like the final piece of the speculative puzzle.
Absolutely. Probably the biggest potential unlock, the one everyone's watching for, revolves around the rumors concerning a forthcoming demonstration or maybe even commercial deployment of their next-generation reusable launch technology.
Reusability, the holy grail.
It really is.
Yeah.
Successfully achieving reusability fundamentally changes the unit economics of getting things to space. It allows for massive cost reductions per launch. If Rocket Lab can convincingly demonstrate that success, it would go a long way towards justifying much of the current speculative pricing. It would dramatically increase their competitiveness against pretty much any rival out there.
Okay, let's try and synthesize all this into an investment thesis. We've got high growth, we've got potentially immense speculative upside from contracts or tech, but we also have these deep, persistent losses. And the stock itself, as we noted, is trading at $52.91, very near its all-time high of $55.17. The valuation.
Yeah, that seems like the elephant in the room right now.
It It really is. The valuation disconnect is probably the most challenging aspect for you as an investor to navigate right now. Here's the key point. While the consensus rating among Wall Street analysts is technically a moderate buy, the average 12-month price target is significantly lower. It's sitting around $42.27. Wait a minute, hold on. The average target for the professional analysts is $42.27. But the stock is trading near $53. That implies, what, over 20% downside from where it is right now? If institutions were supposedly accumulating, why is the street consensus so cautious on the price target?
That 20% plus gap is absolutely critical to understand. It strongly suggests that the analysts covering the stock believe the current market price reflects pure speculation on future events, like winning those extra contracts we mentioned, or perfecting reusable technology. They don't think the price is justified by the current known fundamentals and cash flow situation. So the market appears to be trading aggressively on hope and future potential, while the street analysts are focused more on the cold, hard reality of near-term cash flow and profitability timelines.
So if the positive news flow stalls?
Exactly. If the news flow stalls or if there's a setback, that $42 average target could act like, well, gravity pulling the stock back down.
Yeah.
And you also have to consider the volatility here. This stock has a high beta, currently sitting at 2.18.
Okay, explain beta quickly for us.
Sure. So for you, the investor, a beta of 2.18 means this stock tends to be an amplifier of market movements. When the broader market, say the S&P 500, moves up 1%, Rocket Lab, on average, tends to move up about 2.18%. That's great on the upside. But, and this is critical when the market slips, this stock tends to drop more than twice as hard. It's inherently built for higher volatility trading, not necessarily for the faint of heart.
Right. High volatility implies high risk. So let's crystallize those core risk factors that justify both that massive volatility and maybe those more conservative price targets from analysts.
Okay, risk number one has to be execution risk. Because the company is now so reliant on delivering on those huge, complex government contracts, any significant delays, any major cost overruns, or, heaven forbid, a failed launch, which is just a brutal reality of the space industry.
Yeah, things can go wrong.
Things absolutely can go wrong. Any of those events could severely impact their financials and immediately damage their reputation, and likely the stock price along with it. The second major risk remains the financial picture, profitability, or the lack thereof. We simply cannot overlook the heavy ongoing losses. The cost of building out launch capacity, manufacturing complex components, developing new tech, it's immense. And until they show a clear, believable near-term path to actually generating positive earnings, shareholders are constantly exposed to the risk of needing more capital, which could dilute existing shares, or being vulnerable to shifts in the capital markets.
Okay. So let's try and summarize our rationale here. The fundamental story, driven by that rapid growth and the massive contract backlog, is undeniably phenomenal. Strong points there. But the valuation looks undeniably stretched, especially when you compare it to where the consensus analyst targets are, and considering the lack of near-term profitability. So the overall risk versus reward proposition, right here at this current price level, feels uneven. It seems skewed towards higher risk, demanding a high degree of confidence in those future speculative catalysts actually coming through.
That's a good summary. You have this company with a really strong growth trajectory, backed by billions in future potential revenue from contracts. But it's simultaneously facing these deep, consistent losses right now. So for you, maybe the long-term thematic investor bidding heavily on the future of the U.S. space budget and industry growth, perhaps the current price is simply the cost of admission to get exposure to that massive backlog and potential. But for, say, a shorter-term swing trader, the volatility is obviously very high, and the current price seems to be hinging almost entirely on whether the news flow over the next 3 to 6 months delivers confirmation of the bull case or disappointment. Hashtag tag outro.
That really brings us to the final thought you have to consider. If Rocket Lab actually does succeed in demonstrating truly economical, reusable rocket technology, does that instantly pivot the company? Does it go from being primarily a speculative growth stock to suddenly becoming a direct structural competitor to established giants like SpaceX and Blue Origin? Could that fundamentally change the entire industry landscape almost overnight? That, I think, is the multi-billion-dollar question hanging over this stock right now.
Well, thank you for joining us for this analysis of Rocket Lab. We certainly hope this in-depth look has given you some critical insight to help you make your next move.
Yeah, and please remember to subscribe. Maybe like this discussion if you found it valuable. And definitely leave your thoughts on Rocket Lab or suggest any other companies you want us to cover next time in the comments below. We'll catch you on the next Investing Talk podcast.